Hello everyone. In this video, I will be talking about off-balance sheet risk and technological and operational risk. First of all is off-balance sheet risk. Off-balance sheet risk is the risk incurred by a financial institution due to activities related to contingent asset and liabilities. So one of the most striking trends for many modern financial institutions has been the growth of their off-balance sheet activities, and so is the off-balance sheet risk. While all financial institutions to some extent engage in off-balance sheet activities, most attention has been drawn to the activities of banks, especially but the large banks. An off-balance sheet activity by definition does not appear on the financial institution's current balance sheet. It does not involve holding a current primary claim or issuance of a current secondary claim. Instead, off-balance sheet activities affect the future shape of financial institutions' balance sheet in that they involve the creation of contingent assets and liabilities that give rise to their potential placement of balance sheet. Thus, accountants may place them below the bottom line of a financial institution's assets and liability balance sheet. A good example of an off-balance sheet activity is the issuance of a standby letter of credit. In the case of a letter of credit, a bank actually guarantees that a buyer importing the products or services from a foreign country guarantees that if buyer fails to make payment, the bank will make the payment on behalf of the buyer. So you understand that when bank issues such a guarantee, that means a letter of credit, it immediately does not create a liability for the bank. However, as the buyer fails to pay to the seller on time, it becomes a liability and it will actually be reported in the balance sheet. Similarly, sometimes the bank guarantees the issuance of bonds. So when a company issues bonds, the bank guarantees that if issuer fails to pay interest and principal on time, bank will make the payment. So likewise, you understand that immediately it doesn't create any liability for the bank. However, as the issuer fails, it creates a liability and it will be reported in the balance sheet. Now, one point we need to appreciate that as the banks engage in off-balance sheet activities, it's not immediately increase the liabilities of the bank's balance sheet. However, for this guaranteeing, bank earns a fee which increases its profitability. It means that engaging in off-balance sheet activities increases bank's profitability without immediately levering up its liability. So which actually incentivize banks to engage in off-balance sheet activities. For example, here you see that a traditional valuation of financial institution net worth, market value of assets is 100, market value of liabilities is 90, so net worth is $10. It doesn't show any off-balance sheet activities. That means no contingent asset or liabilities. However, as it includes contingent assets of $50, contingent liabilities of $55, you can see the net worth declines from 10 to 5. So just after considering these contingent liabilities and assets, the net worth of the bank is affected. Next is the technology and operational risk. The technology and operational risk are closely related and in recent years have caused great concern to financial institutions, managers, and regulators alike. The Bank of International Settlement, the principal organization of central banks in the major economies of the world, defines operational risk as the risk of direct or indirect loss resulting from inadequate or failed internal processes, people, and systems, or from external events. So we know that the major objectives of technological expansion for the financial institution are to lower operating costs, increase profit, and capture new markets. In economic terminology, the objective is to allow financial institutions to exploit to the fullest extent possible better potential economies of scale and economies of scope in selling its product. Economies of scale simply is financial institution can reduce its average cost by expanding its output. On the other hand, economies of scope is also generate cost synergies. That means reduce the cost by producing more than one output with the same input. Technology risk occurs when technological investments do not produce the anticipated cost savings in the form of economies of scale or economies of scope. So these economies of scale, for example, arise because of excess capacity, redundant technology, and organizational and bureaucratic inefficiencies that become worse as a financial institution grow in size. The diseconomies of scope arises when financial institution fails to generate perceived synergies or cost savings through major new technology investment. So, in summary, technology risk is the potential that the bank has invested in technological advancement. However, that technological investment has failed to reduce its cost. Operational risk, on the other hand, is partly related to technology risk and can arise whenever existing technology malfunctions or back office support system breaks down. So the major difference between technology and operational risk is technology risk is the potential risk that the technological investment fails to generate cost savings, whereas operational risk is the technological investment has worked fine, however suddenly uh, malfunctions. So you understand that banks use interbank market to both sell to and buy funds from other banks and the RBA for periods as short as a day. Normally, the system functions highly efficiently, but occasionally risk exposures can arise. Suppose the bank's computer system failed to register an incoming payments, that is funds borrowed, but still processed outward payments, that is fund lent. As a result, at the end of the day, the bank could face a huge net payment position on funds lent that it had to settle with other banks, which may involve emergency borrowing from central bank. So that's our discussion on off-balance sheet and technology risk. In the next video, we will be talking about insolvency risk and other risk. Thank you very much.